Thank you, Chair. Chair, earlier said you said that, you don't have a clock on me. I'm just saying. Thank you, Chair. Good morning. Good morning, honourable members, and good morning, former Minister. Let's get into it. Former Minister, you've said that the National Commissioner, Bheki Cele, stabilized SAPS and put many systems and structures in place that made the police function much more efficiently. Then you took over from Cele and you continued the great work, and the crime stats are evident of your superior work as a National Commissioner. Then you were removed. In came Ria Piecha and was appointed, and based on your oral evidence yesterday, you said that this is when SAPS started losing some of its institutional capacity. Am I paraphrasing more or less your testimony yesterday in that regard? Particularly on the former National Commissioner, Ria Piecha, and her administration. Yes, okay. So what do you think, or what do you know, what factors or interests led to the appointment of the former National Commissioner, Ria Piecha, as the National Commissioner?
Well, I don't know. I'll be guessing, Honourable Member. Good morning and thank you very much. I'll be guessing what led to that, except the understanding that the appointment of the National Commissioner is a prerogative of the President of the Republic of South Africa, authorized by the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, that the President will appoint the man or the woman as the Commissioner of the South African Police. So what criteria really that is used, I can't tell. I gave the story myself that I was approached by him that I would be appointed, and I did not like the job at all because I thought it was a tough job, but he insisted and all that. So but when I was appointed, I had a little bit of understanding of the police. Remember, I was the MSc, I was the chair of the safety and security in KZN. I don't know what would trigger or even given an inch of understanding or thinking that Ria Piecha could be a national commissioner. I have no idea.
So there's actually something you don't know about the political landscape and appointments.
No, definitely. I wouldn't know
and the question wasn't so much, Minister, on like what criteria, but what were the material conditions during that time in both the government and the political landscape. I was asking you to speak to that, but I understand if you don't want to comment or you don't have anything concrete to contribute to that.
Well, I don't know anything about somebody's prerogative. It's somebody's prerogative, which means it's you and you only, Honourable Member, nobody else. Once it's prerogative, you can do something that we don't understand, but it's your prerogative, and then you must live with it.
Okay. So you're pretty much saying that you didn't understand, or you maintain that you don't understand why that decision was taken, but we do understand that it was the prerogative of the President. Do you think, and maybe this is a more better question, do you think that the institutional capacity or the decline of it rather was a deliberate process rather than a gradual neglect? And more specifically, whose interests do you think it serves if we have a SAPS that is weak?
I guess it was deliberate. I guess it was deliberate. As I've mentioned, you know, the structures that were there were dismantled. Both the operational and the managerial structures were really messed up. So whose interest was it? I wouldn't know. But I could also say it did look like it was across the justice system rather than the police alone. The NPA was changed. Some people, they were thrown out of the NPA. Some are sitting here who were thrown out of the NPA. Not only that, even in the state security apparatus, people that were there were thrown out. People that you know that they were doing the good job, they're thrown out. Whose interest will be, maybe that's a story to find one day why. But you ask me if it was accident, I would say no.
Okay, and you don't have an opinion on why this would be. And I understand it would be your opinion, but you haven't done any digging, and you are a senior member in, both a political party, and you've been serving in government for a very, very long time. So when you see this, I'm sure you would have had some discussions or applied your mind. And I understand that this would just be your take on it, not necessarily that was the case.
Well, the opinion is that if I come, I want to steal, and I know that you have a bulldog, having a chance, I'll take the teeth out of the bulldog so that I do things proper. So maybe somebody was taking teeth out of the bulldog so that can do things the way you want.
And who do you think that was?
Those that were leading.
Who was leading at that time?
Well, Zuma was the president at the
So
time.
it was under the Zuma administration. What was, so I guess you've answered this also already, because you're saying that there was also increased political interference during that period, and that contributed largely to the deliberate institutional capacity decline within SAPS. Can we say that?
Yes, I would agree with that.
Okay. One of the reasons you said you were removed, former minister, was that you refused to take illegal or improper instructions. So I want to talk a little bit about the Marikana massacre, because it happened during that period. So if you were still the national commissioner during that period when the Marikana workers were protesting for a living wage, and then we had the ANC Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa that was all over, meeting ministers and calling for pointed action. How would you have responded to the protests of the Marikana workers?
Well, I would be saying this time and again, sometimes I sound arrogant. If I were there, they would not have a Marikana. I sound arrogant when I say, but I can assure you, there would be no Marikana if one was there. Maybe let's take this one. I don't know, I'm not defending Cyril on this one, but I don't know. Cyril was the member of the ANC, was not in government.
Yeah, that's
who's
what
the
I
president
said.
now. And then he speaks to the Minister of Police, as it happens even today, that people, they speak to the minister. And then the minister speaks to the National Commissioner, and Marikana happens. But the focus up to this day is more on Cyril rather than the minister and the National Commissioner that were there. I don't know how it changed to be that way. For me, I think, again, most of us were crying at the wrong funeral there. To say Cyril is maybe the letter that he wrote or the email, I don't know whether it was a letter.
Yeah, that's where I'm going.
Yes, but he wrote it to somebody that had to moderate it in terms of implementation. I don't think that the letter from Cyril said, you go and shoot 34 people and die there. I don't think he said so. So I would love how it came about. Another very serious point about Marikana, all of us, we talk about 34 people. We don't talk about 10 people that died before that day, and brutally so. You know, the police that were killed there, and they were cut their manhood and all that kind of thing. We don't talk about that. But you want my opinion on the police shooting on that particular day. Let me give the story of the National Commissioner, who's almost 2 months in the job, and he surely has no understanding of the environment. Honorable Member, the operatives, the commanders, some of them, for sure, the person that was there, I think was Mawela, who was on the ORS, they went and briefed the National Commission and go to copies and sit on copies. He said, you go and fence that place, put the barbed wire, put the police inside. When the people come, put the tear gas on them. That's the first thing. Second thing you do, you go to the bus company and tell them to stop ferrying people there. And thirdly, have what you call disruptive arrest, those that were agitating and all that, do that thing. And as they left, he changed the whole plan. He told Commissioner Mbombo, who was the only female commissioner, provincial commissioner at the time, to say, you go and deal with them. You remember the morning statement that today is a D-Day. And that how came about. There were many ways of avoiding that kind of death. And it's unfortunate that it happens, and we must, as South Africans, stay with that blood stain for a very long time.
Former Minister, I know you're saying that you're not defending President Ramaphosa, and that we are, that our focus hasn't been on the Minister and the National Commissioner. But this is speaking exactly to the political interference, because he wasn't even in government at that time. He was a deputy minister of the ANC, and he was calling ministers. And he asked, and he said there must be pointed action. So we can't downplay that.
Was that deputy minister of the ANC?
Yeah, he was deputy minister of the ANC at that time.
No.
Oh, deputy, sorry,
No, he wasn't.
okay.
No, he wasn't.
Sorry, my bad. Deputy president of the ANC at that time.
No. Who was the deputy president of the country then?
I don't know who was.
Honorable Matthys, just hold a moment. Let me take Honorable Sangon.
No, Chair, I just want us to correct Honorable Matthys. We're not interrupting her testimony. Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa was neither deputy minister nor deputy president of the ANC when Marikana happened. If the facts can just be correct. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, I stand corrected, but I thought you had just come out of a conference at that time, or he was. But I stand corrected. But I mean, that even makes it worse. He wasn't even in political leadership, and he was calling ministers, and ministers were responding to him. He also met with the Minister of Mineral Resources here in Cape Town in his own testimony. You don't have to respond to that, Minister Cele, but obviously you can.
To respond on the first one. I think deputy president of the ANC have been always deputy president of the country. So that's why I want to know who was the deputy president of the country then, because that would be the deputy president of the ANC. But Ramaphosa was not the deputy president. He was an NEC member.
Okay.
Was definitely an NEC member, but not deputy president.
Okay, I had my
Honorable
information
Nhlanhla.
incorrect. I thought there was a gap between the election, the ANC conference, and then the country's elections, but I stand corrected. Thank you, ANC members.
Honorable Matthys, let's take Honorable Nhlanhla.
Thank you.
No, Chair, just to also help that Marikana happened in August 2012. President Ramaphosa was elected Deputy President of the ANC in December 2012. Thank you, Chair.
NEC members of the ANC calling ministers. Thank you. Let's move on. Thank you. You said you've refused to take illegal and improper instructions, and this is why you were removed. I think I've dealt with that question. Do you think Ria Piaga was thrown under the bus by the same politicians who entangled themselves in the SAPS operations that resulted in the Marikana massacre?
No. Before that, Honorable Member, I want to take a step back on this NEC members calling the ANC. The CIC sitting next to you there on the issues of safety, we have met as I'm the ANC, as I'm a Minister of Police. But CIC, we have met. It would be so much irresponsible for me to say I'm not meeting the leaders when it comes. The leadership of the IFP, I've met Tlabisa as a president. I've met Holomisa as a president of UDM. And I just imagine the minister saying I'm not meeting the politicians. That would be a hell of a minister. So because all of us, we have one minister. Otherwise we say, you have your EFF minister, you have your UDM minister, you have... So that can't be out of order when political leaders have an access to ministers. It doesn't matter. If you become a minister tomorrow, I'll look at you, social welfare, and ask my 350 from you. So definitely it can't be out of order that political leaders have an access to ministers.
Okay, but we're not saying that it's out of order for the access, but the level of access and even the emails that are even calling for pointed action, it was quite specific. But I think we can move on from there.
I agree on that. We can move on.
Minister, that was excessive involvement, was almost like a directive. Let's talk about whether you think Riepega was thrown under the bus by these same politicians who entangled themselves in the operations. The Marikana SAPS operations.
About the operation or about the whole appointment?
No, the operations during the whole
He thrown
Marikana
himself under
thing.
the bus.
She threw herself?
Yes.
She wasn't thrown
She
also?
threw herself under the bus. I'm saying
okay.
she had a good night before when the operatives, the generals, they went to brief her how to handle the situation. And in the morning there was an announcement to say today is a D-Day, opposing all the briefings that had happened the previous night. So she was given the way out, and she opted to not to ride the bus but to go under it.
So do you think she did that because she was directed by the politicians?
I wouldn't know then. Okay. Why so?
Okay. Yesterday you said that if you were the national commissioner and you received that New Year's Eve directive about disbanding in the TWAS team, you would have told him to stay in his lane. Do you think that General Masimula is part of the problem for allowing political interference?
I don't think it's a part of the problem, General Masimula. Well, to start with, on the eve, he wasn't there. And then, but at the end of the time, I think for me, it became very soft, even to engage on phasing out. For me, he should have said, no, it can't happen. Maybe take the opportunity of explaining to the minister, eyeball to eyeball, how it came about and advise. But looks like there was not even an opportunity of the National Commissioner, nor Mkhwanazi, nor Khumalo, to brief the minister on these matters. I think the door was shut for them. Even if they wish to do it, it doesn't look like they were given the opportunity to do it.
So do you think that this is a characteristic, or that he just responded softly, and as the president had, my CIC had said, he was more agreeable, or is that speaks to his character, and is that the type of character that we need as a national commissioner who can't say to the politicians, yay, stay in your lane?
I think it's one person that I've worked with for a very long time. When I was a commissioner, when I was Masimula is very respectful. He's something that has a lot of respect as a person, as a human being. No doubt about that. Sometimes in the circles where I speak, I said he would have made a good bishop, Masimula. He's got a very, maybe a very good heart to look after the lions. That's that for me. But he knows his job. He knows his job. Maybe he doesn't have enough pushback when he's supposed to do it. He would take you along, maybe taking you along until he reaches the cliff, and he jumps with you or on the cliff. But I think it's one person that, well, he's a human being, but he's one person that I think he will have very less bad intentions in life.
And then, just to close on this section, former Minister, from your experience, what would be a more progressive appointment process and accountability for a national commissioner, one that doesn't rely that heavily on two politicians to keep their positions? And this is on the back of the fact that we've only had one national commissioner since 1994 that served a full term. So that might be a problem. So just your take, since you've been in the space for a long time, and it's also something that as a committee we need to give recommendations and guidance on the
You
process.
say one, you mean favors.
I beg your pardon?
If you say one that finishes term, you mean, you mean favors.
Yeah.
Served his term. You know, I always wonder which side of fivers did people see as a best commissioner. Shobane died after under fivers. They died after him. The mass killings of Richmond happened under fivers. I remember that at one time, him and me sabambananga mawashing in Richmond, because I could see that police were not doing what they're supposed to do. Shobane, honorable member, police went door to door asking the houses of the ANC people if they had the guns, and we knew that after that was going to be a raid. And I spoke to Skuman, and on the 15th of December 95, I said to the secretary of the ANC, which happens to be Mkhunu in the province, let's go and talk with the police in Potchefstroom to say it's going to be a disaster in Shobane. And then there was a guy called Fori, who was a commander of the stability unit, who was advising the IFP what to say in the meeting when we meet. And all those things were relayed to fivers who did not do anything about it. Those are the facts. This is what my understanding when people say is the best one. This one is things said I don't have facts about it. You'll know now that Fivers is one of the people that have one of the best private security company. I think his big job, he works with, what is this, fast train, Gautrain. I'm told that people most of them that work there are South African Police Service members that were sent to be trained for specialization overseas and then were extracted out of the organization to come and work for the private security. That's information I have. I have not verified it. So for me, that he finished, it doesn't mean that he did the best job.
But you haven't answered the question about what do you think, or what process should we have that our national commissioner, that is one of the most powerful positions in the country actually, is not reliant, them be staying in that position is not reliant on two politicians essentially.
Okay. The first thing is to deal with the constitution.
Yeah,
On that
that's
matter.
what we're asking.
You start from there. Otherwise, no matter what you wish, you are not going to do anything. The second one, I think I did explain yesterday how Masimula was appointed.
Yeah, that there was
that
a panel, yeah.
Not very rigid, but it was a panel of people that know the environment. obviously, Honorable Member, with the constitution fixed, all DGs are appointed that way of panels and taken to the cabinet and all that. I think that because the National Commission is a DG, I think it will follow the patterns of the appointment of all DGs.
Okay. You said that when you were appointed as the National Commissioner, you had a pretty decent relationship with most of the generals when you arrived at headquarters, Lieutenant Generals, Major Generals, but not all of them. And you didn't tell us which ones you did not have a good relationship with. So can you, or the relationship was not as welcoming, I suppose, as it was with the others. So who were those, and how did you manage those working relationships?
Most of them had good relationship, but the one, I think we didn't have a good relationship with Cele, General Cele, who was the head of the supply chain, and also before he joined the South African Police Service, was the commissioner of the Sky Butcher Police under Noche, who was the Minister of Justice, Police and Correctional or Prisons. So I felt he was really locked and arrested to the past of him being the leader of one of the most brutal Bantustans, this guy. And he was part of the shooting that took place somewhere in Bisho, where many people died. He was running those operations. He was part of it. So maybe with this history that did not put us together from where my background of politics and his background of politics. But we worked along, but we knew that we were not very warm to each other.
So you all managed to keep it professional. So there was no relationship with any of the major generals or lieutenant generals that affected the performance. You performing your job and also them performing their jobs during that time.
Well, any good thing that happened then, it was collective, Honorable Member. Definitely could not be a single man running the whole thing. We were very collective, and fortunately, we had this very focused project going towards the 2010. So that makes us to work together.
So you ran a tight team. You maintain that you ran a tight team as the National Commissioner with your generals.
No doubt about that. No doubt about that.
Let's go on to the IMC. I know we've overkilled this a little bit, but there was just some things that were not that clear. So the IMC for the political killings, did they report directly to the President or to Cabinet? And if they reported to the President, was Cabinet regularly briefed on its work and its resolutions?
Well, it reported direct to the President, but its issues were also discussed in the Cabinet.
Okay. And is there any document that sets out the functions of the IMC on political killings? Not the PKTT, because those have been explained both by the National Commissioner and the General, but something similar to like terms of reference that were adopted to guide the work of the IMC.
Well, the documents of the IMC would be the minutes of the meetings, but also because it was multifaceted in terms of departments, the information note that was produced by the National Commission of the South African Police, yes, it does have that information you're talking about, how they were going to be informed and what are they going to do coming from where. But I would not argue the same what other DGs do in their department to create the roadmap, as I know for sure that South African Police Service under the leadership of Cele did. If you ask that the portion of the police, indeed that happened.
Okay, so there were no terms of reference. We just have an information note on the IMC, with the establishment of the IMC.
Well,
And then minutes of documents,
there were
etc.
there were no terms of reference except
That would-
the instruction what they were supposed to go and do in KZN.
You explained that task teams, by their very nature, are task and time specific, and it can't be a permanent, and there's no, and that no organization can ever eliminate the reliance on task teams. Right? That was your oral evidence yesterday. But in your term of office as a minister, you were chairing this IMC. Were you ever briefed about the 2019 work study that was done about task teams? Do you know about the 2019 work study that was done on task teams? Because the minister relied heavily on this, and he used this as one of the reasons for disbanding the PKTT.
I don't know what this work study. What I know is organogram.
It was submitted to us. So during your period, you've never seen the 2019 work study report?
It was organogram, rather than the work study.
Okay. Well, I guess if we have that in the, okay, we can follow up on that. So you don't know about the work, you understand the onogram, not this work study report. And okay, let's say that if we are talking about the onogram, why wasn't that implemented? Because this is what the minister is saying, that he used it and he relied heavily on that outside of Auntie Mary's letters of complaints, etc. So the work study report, he went on quite significantly about it. So what was your understanding about, but you're saying it's not a work study report, you're saying it's an onogram, so that might have fallen part, Minister, of the work study report.
Maybe one problem you raised initially, Honorable Member, of the lifespan of national commissioners in the South African police. They are responsible for development of the organogram. And then they concur or they show it to the minister and all that. For the very fact that they stay this short, as they develop it, you find that he or she goes without finishing it. But there'll be always one where they continue to implement as they are there. But maybe, as you say, after 5 years, no national commission has finished the term. So all of them will leave the half-cooked work going forward. Even myself, I remember that one was showed by Cele, but Masimula came and you reorganize it. Remember what the Constitution says. Theirs is to organize, to command, and all that kind of thing. So they have the right to put it as the way they do. I guess this thing of commissioners not staying too long is one of the problems that makes the police not to fly smoothly, not to be consistent and do what they're supposed to do. So they come and go too soon before they finish their work. I think that is one of the problems, that it was not signed, and signed 2025, yes, but it doesn't mean that there was no working document before that. The previous one that would be signed, they'd be working on it.
So the work study having been done or commissioned in 2019, having it implemented in the end of December 2024, do you think that was sound?
Do you think it was sound?
Yeah, like a sound decision to use that as a reason.
Well, December 2024, how long was the minister in the office then? The 6 months? Almost 6 months. I sometimes take some time to understand and learn these things. Honorable Member, South African Police Service is a very complicated environment. It would help for any one of us to give a little bit of time to understand members there. But I heard the minister that he has consulted with many people and all that kind of stuff. I don't know how deep has it done that kind of consultation. But for me, that would be a little bit short to come there, you find this 2019 thing, and you don't give yourself enough time. 6 months for me would have been too short.
The Minister Mkhwanazi also testified that parts of the handover when you left office as the Minister of Police, that the handover did not include a briefing on the PKTT. Is that true? Did you have a handover? Or did
We
you
did
just
have
go,
it.
oh, and
I prepared quite a thick document for handover. We sat down 2 hours, we discussed.
2 hours
Yeah,
only?
yeah. Actually, I was given an hour in the office. And then I was given an hour.
And there was no engagement after that 1 hour, 2 hours in this
2
case?
hours. The engagement that could have happened is when I've left it to you and said, Minister, my phone away because there are many other things that we might have to share. Unfortunately, that phone never came. And I guess even the question of this PKTT would have better discussed if that phone did come. But I can't remember, Honorable Member, the issues that we discussed that were in the document.
In those 2
Honorable
hours?
Matthias, let's take Honorable Novalo.
I thought you were stopping me. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. No, Chair, on the question that Honorable Matthias has asked a short while ago about the letter, the study that was signed after the letter was issued, I'm just interested on the clarity of the Minister on the procedural aspect. That, Minister, is it correct, General, is it correct to sign or to issue a directive on the basis of a letter which we have not signed as yet? Because the justification by the Minister is that the reason why we disbanded this on the 31st of December is because we signed a study, or the Commissioner signed a study with a new organogram in May 2025. So the new organogram was signed after the letter was issued. Now, was it procedurally correct? I'm just interested on that part. Thank you.
The study was signed in May, and the 31st letter
Yes, was disbanded.
was going to be accommodated on the study that does not exist.
Yes.
Okay. It doesn't give logic because the study was not existing. So why do you sign the letter to fit on the structure that is not existing? So I don't think it was correct.
Thank you so much. You may proceed, Honorable Matthias.
Just on clarity, when you met Nhlanhla in December at the very posh Beverly Hills hotel in Umhlanga, did he tell you also, I just didn't get proper clarity on that, did he tell you that the PKTT was going to be disbanded?
No.
Okay. So the first time you heard about it was with the rest of us, the New Year's Eve, when it was circulated in the media on the 2nd of January?
Yes.
Okay. You also indicated yesterday, and maybe I should also just get clarity on this, that you saw messages on his phone, Kat's phone, from the minister. Am I correct?
Yes, those messages that were either from Kat coming they were sent to my phone. So I read them in my phone, coming from Cat to say, this is what he has received from the minister.
Okay, I thought yesterday you were saying that you saw evidence on Kat's phone that the minister and him were engaging. That's not so.
No, it was on Cat's phone, but it was sent to my phone.
And then how did you verify that those messages were indeed from Minister Mkhwanazi?
Well, I was told that were from Minister Mkhwanazi by a Cat, but verification it was not
okay.
done.
Did you engage your comrade? Because you refer to him as your comrade. I mean, you're both long-serving members, senior members for that in the ANC. Because you meet this person, minister, for the first time, and he's telling you these things about the minister and financing his campaign. Did you engage your comrade about that? Because who else could he be telling? And Minister Mkhwanazi, whether you like it or not, is your comrade. You don't know Kat.
Well, I don't regard him as a comrade. He is a comrade.
You don't what? Sorry, I didn't get that.
You said I regard him as a comrade.
You said
no, I
that.
don't regard him as a comrade. He is a comrade.
Okay.
I did say, honorable member, that I did try to engage him to talk about things, including mayor and all that, somewhere in January, where I was not offered the opportunity to discuss the matters.
And then what was your intention? Because you said you wanted information from Kat many times and very animated at that minister. So what was your intention on using this information about Kat regarding Minister Mkhwanazi that superseded the fact that this Kat has told you that he signed, that he committed a criminal offense? He signed a sworn affidavit saying that police stole his Rolex watches and they didn't.
Well, the information started from there, but it was interesting that I was part of the discussions as they were talking about the project. So I wanted to hear what more was said about me going forward, working on the project that he was asked to fund. And as I've said, honorable member, that I would not have said no to information, especially when it involves me. I said, one of the discussions says, we'll work well so long we don't work with Cele and Zuma, but sometimes the document that was very old, it was sent as it was going to be used as a basis of arresting me and all that. So with such information, I would not have stayed far to understand what's going on, what is discussed about me.
So your intention on accessing this information was pretty much to protect yourself and also, to an extent, General Khumalo.
And understand what is happening and what is said about me, yes.
And what would you have done? Or what were you planning to do? Was it just a way on how you were going to maneuver or navigate?
Well, it would have been good to speak to the minister as my comrade about it. That has not happened, as I've made the fact that I did try, but I didn't win that battle. But also, it would be good to know what is planned about me, so that whatever way to defend myself is looked at, and any action to defend myself is taken.
You engaged Minister Ramaphosa at the ANC January 8th rally. Did you know whether Minister Mkhwanazi had discussed the disbandment with him when you when you spoke to the president?
I don't know if they discussed, with the exception of what I heard from Minister Mkhwanazi. I think he did say, after writing the letter, he briefed the president. I think that's a statement, that he briefed the president after I've written. For me, that's a correct one, that he briefed the president after has written the letter. To me, that can't be a consultation, which really would have been very wrong for him to do, to go and brief the president instead of consulting the president. But if they did speak before it happened, I don't know.
Okay.
The only information I have is this one.
Oh, okay. And then what, you did not tell us what was the president's reaction. I think that's very important. Did he just smile and nod?
When I spoke to the president to facilitate the meeting
Yeah.
of either three of us or with him, he said he will look at it.
That's it. He wasn't surprised. He just said he was going to look at it. And then did he come back to you? Was that facilitated?
Well, Honorable Member, you are a top official of the EFF. So we are speaking at this stage when the rally is about to start. Really, even yourself as a DSG, the DSG, if I come that time, you might even say, come back the other time. So we're at this stage, everybody's singing and all. I see a small opportunity, I rush and said, please, can we happen this? And I go, I said, okay, I'll look at it. And that was that.
And it didn't happen.
It could be even, by the way, not again speaking on his behalf, it could even flash out of his head, looking at the situation and the place where he was set.
And then you didn't follow up with him since he had indicated to
No.
you, yeah, you'll look into it, you just left it?
No.
All right. Let's talk about, you spoke extensively about SAPS capacity and private security and both the taxi industry luring our highly trained SAPS and Defence Force, Special Task Force members to go and work with them. And primarily this is because of the poor working conditions and the low pay. Did you have these discussions or did you raise any of this when you were a minister in cabinet meetings? Because, I mean, this is the dire situation that we are in. So what did you do about it when you were a minister? Did you engage cabinet about it?
Honorable Member, that situation you see is not only dire for those special forces, it's dire for the whole organization.
Yeah, that's...
If you would have been fly and be on the wall, you would have heard how much irritating I was in cabinet about the police matters. Starting when Honorable Tito Mboweni was there, may his soul rest in peace, when he was a Minister of Finance. I even ventured on something funny when I said to him, can you allow the police not to pay, from certain level, not to pay the tax? Because their salary is terrible. Their salary is terrible, and their work is hard, the police. And then he said, what do we do with nurses? What do we do with teachers? I said, I'm not the minister of nurses. I'm not the minister of teachers. I'm a minister of police. If those ministers, they see it fit, they will come to the minister. And they just says, that won't happen. And it didn't happen. I said, okay, can we work on the numbers of the police? Honorable Member, again, in 2010, there were 50 million South Africans and 195,000 police in the Republic of South Africa. The target was to make 200 the next 2 years. And then when we came back, there were 187 with 62 million. Besides the specialized forces, the numbers themselves have dwindled. So we have to push very hard to work on those numbers. So those discussions were almost on the overall of the organization rather than specific. But when it comes to national commissioner, it would be specific, dealing with the units, including the specialized units.
So essentially, this is another fundamental failure of government of retaining our highly trained police and leaving them to the taxi industry and to private security. In other words, since you have engaged them as an irritant actually in cabinet and nothing has been changed.
Maybe we'll use different English. For me, it's a serious shortcoming. that
Yeah.
this actually needs to be fixed. We can't have such a situation of these members living. By the way, I spoke about the special task force and the special task force of the army. I did not talk about the NIU, which is part of that. But few weeks ago, I met in one meeting. I met the members of the CATS, and I asked where is so and so is their commander. I'm told he has just gone to join the. So CATS, honorable member, their training is equal to the special task force. Is one of the top kind of an elite, the CATS that are in the South African police. So it's continuing. Bleeding these skills out of the police is continuing, and it needs to be arrested and arrested soon.
I don't think South Africans are going to agree with you on this one, Minister. This is not a shortcoming, it's a fundamental failure of government, and the reason why we feel very unsafe in the streets of South
And
Africa.
I'll not oppose South Africans.
Yeah, don't.
I'll not.
Let's talk about just some border control issues. We were talking about, and you spoke also very passionately about the influx of drugs in South Africa, and this is largely due to our porous borders. We don't have enough scanners. Are you aware of that?
Well, I don't see Mom James. Oh, okay. She's here. I know how passionate she is when it comes to the drug issues, which South Africans should really be so. We are under siege, honorable member. South Africa is under siege when it comes to these drugs. We have been found as a lucrative market and transit. Let me give you a little bit of a story. In '94, I went for training in London. I was trained in one of the most elite institutions called Scotland Yard. I did my training there. That time I was with Brian. He was in the School of Economics. I was in the Civil College of Safety in London. We were told there, '94, that South Africa is going to be playground of gangsters and drugs. They said there were 3 reasons for that when we were told in Scotland Yard. There were 3 reasons for that. One is our aviation system that will expand to the whole world, so it will be easy. Secondly, is the strength of our currents. They don't mind to use our money. And thirdly, is a banking system that it was easy to move the money and all that. And it has happened exactly that way. That we are a new playground of drugs, both transit and both consumption. But consumption, unfortunately, they find the market on the poor little child, especially black child, that makes those that live in huge suburbs very much rich. I is one area where I will accept that I don't think that we have had enough pushback when it comes to the drug situation. So I think more work must be done on that matter. But also, honorable member, I would make a call that there is this document. I don't know if honorable members have this document. It's called Integrated Crime and Violence Prevention Strategy. Honorable member James knows it. This document, the subheading says, a whole of government and whole of society approach to fight crime. I think it was signed by the cabinet in 2022, developed by the Department of Police. So it would be good to work on it because the drug issue starts with home. It starts with the society. It's the very society that kills that kills our kids, selling them the drugs and all that. It will be good that all of us, we work on that matter. But it's one area where I think even our court system are not very hard when it comes to dealing with the drug issues. There is this sad story of Umlife that is going around, of the judge and all that. I think, giving you my opinion, the way we are under siege, as the government, as the security apparatus, as the society, we're not doing well to protect ourselves, especially our kids, from this sketch.
The question was specifically asking about scanners at our borders. Do we have enough
Scanners.
that can scan drugs and human trafficking, etc.? Because
No.
you also served, there's a...
No, we don't.
Yeah.
No, we don't have.
So when you served as the National Commissioner and also as a minister on the, I think it's the Border Management Interministerial IMC.
It's PMA.
Yeah. And that's headed by the Minister of Home Affairs from what I understand. So were there discussions and was there a push that we get more scanners? Because surely this can't be a budget thing because it starts there at the borders. So what were the discussions? Why is Treasury not releasing money to get more scanners, from
It wa-
your understanding?
It was raised, not once, for many times, to find those scanners. But as you say, that treasurer will look at that, and the security cluster coming to it. It will help if we can get more scanners. But I can assure you, that would not stop the drugs coming. We'll have to have the extra method, but it will reduce it as it
Drastically, yeah.
comes. Drastically, I'm not sure, because one
Why?
big problem about this thing is the human nature, Honourable Member. It's a human nature. As you are sitting here, everybody asks the question about the Auditor General. Everybody asks the Auditor General, PCKI, and all that. You come here, you see the scope and all that. Drug lords and criminals have no Auditor General. They don't have Auditor General. They don't have a budget. They don't have a scope. So the budget of criminality always beats the budget of government. That's why it's important that security cluster is taken as one of the departments to make the country stable. And it is not so at the present moment.
Noted, Minister. So Treasury, I think, also just gets the, and I think even members of Parliament and government, we get this thing mixed up because it's Parliament that approves budget. And it's not necessarily Treasury. So I think that's something we as the ad hoc committee must note in our findings, that it can't always be Treasury that dictates what must happen. We are the lawmakers, and when things needs to happen, we need to give instructions and they need to follow through, because their general attitude is that they are the deciding factor on money. But that's just by the way. Let's talk a little bit about, we spoke about, and you spoke quite extensively about the political killings and political party accountability. In your view, what do you think that political parties themselves, and maybe the ANC in particular, since they lead in the number of killings in the political killings, what needs to happen? Because political parties is going to be a permanent feature, and if we're saying that this political killings task team is not something, it must have an end in sight. But political parties are not having an end in sight. Speak to us about what political parties can do in that regard, and then, okay, let's respond to that, and then I'll move to the next question.
Well, your opening statement was very correct, that political parties, the latter one of the ANC, I'm not sure about it. This element is more on a local government level. You don't find more of the MPLs being killed or ourselves, MPs, and is more on the. So, which means I had somebody, I can't remember who was to say is linked to tenders. I think it was Honorable Nomvalo yesterday. I don't think so. It could be, but it's more linked on the job opportunities. You know, one thing, this document also speak about it, Honorable Member, that we'll have to fix in South Africa, is the question of unemployment. I'm telling you, this unemployment is one of the main things that is going to take us back to the doldrums as the country if it is not fixed. This level of thing is a part of employment. I said yesterday, and I repeat, most of the councillors that are in danger are those ward councillors that are aware that particular party is assured of winning. So I know if I remove you, I definitely come in. So it's a part of the job opportunities, which means parties themselves must look at the way they elect their representatives or their councillors coming on the matter. I don't know if there can be a satisfying way to say if honorable member is a ward candidate or ward of being a councillor, everybody is satisfied. It can't be a me situation. Can help. So parties need to work on that. But I think it needs to work broadly, even systematically, to say, I don't know if it can be done that if the councillor dies, there should be no kind of by-election, because it guarantees a killer that I'm going to come in. So I think we need to find some way that you killing me doesn't guarantee you that you are coming in. I think there are 3 wards where I know where the candidates in a short particular ward that they will win are killed for immediate by-election. So they know they're going to come in. I think political parties can work on politics of what do we do to replace the murdered councillors. But broadly, political parties through the government and the National Assembly and their assemblies work on finding the job for people rather than having the government positions the only guaranteed jobs.
When you were the Minister of Police, did you have a longer-term plan or policy intervention that was aimed at addressing the root cause of these killings rather than just the investigating, charging and arresting of those involved?
PKTT is part of it, was a part of the long planning, part of the stabilization. That you investigate, you arrest, but also work on the preventative measures, which is part of the stabilization. So that was part of it. But the second part of it was to make this killing business less lucrative. You know, I'm not going to say which party, but there are several of them. At Escort, one councillor shot his car, shot the car from inside. Unfortunately, he didn't know that there is something called forensic. So he was found that he shot the car from inside. And why he shot the car? Because he wanted to be guarded. Why to be guarded? Because he had a private security company. So he was going to employ his private security company to guard him, and then the state pays him. So those are some of the things that we'll have to make sure that business and government is really cut. But most of the time, especially at the low level, is not cut. And people use the government position to grant themselves or to give themselves opportunity to milk the government as if it's a business. That's one thing. But PKTT is part of it. Again, political members working on it, creating the stable environment in terms of employment and changing the methodologies of replacing the councillors that have been killed can work.
Onto tenders and procurement allegations, Minister. So yesterday, again, this was also your very animated input or testimony to the committee, is that you do not get involved in tender processes. Was it particularly because we were asking the question about CAT's tender, or is it just your overall engagement as when you were a minister on the process? You stayed away from the processes altogether.
I don't smell it. I don't smell the tenders.
You've never smelled it.
No.
And then there was a protected disclosure by, I'm sure you're aware of it, by a Lieutenant General who served as a Deputy National Commissioner. And this protected disclosure paints a very different picture about your involvement in the tender processes. The Lieutenant General, in his protected disclosure, said that you were involved in the procurement of interception equipment that was valued to approximately 120 million rand, and this was without the required exemption certificate from the Department of Justice and State Security. What's your response to that?
That would be Vuma. That member of the would be General Vuma. General Vuma was part of, with General Stolle. I'm sure you know that they were found guilty by the court of law, having purchased the grabber that was 7 million with 47 million. Is part of that, and was found by the court of law, and they appealed, or they went to court to get appeal until they reached the final court of the Republic, and they were not allowed to continue with that. That's a person you talk about who have been criminally found guilty by the court of law. That's one. Two, that grab on that equipment speaks about the final document of it, which I think can be found if you want from the South African police, was signed, the last signature there was signed by then Commissioner Sithole, after the presentation was made by the head of intelligence, General Jacobs. So there is no signature or the input of the minister buying that equipment, the interception equipment. So that is absolutely not true. And fortunately, documents there could be found if they wanted, who had a final signature in the document for purchasing that. The only problem with that process, Honorable Member, is that the law I spoke about yesterday was not followed. The agreement between these departments to buy such an equipment, and looks like after it has been bought, could not be utilized because the law was not followed to acquire it. I think that was a major problem. And then the discussions then had to be done by the ministers, because these laws, the agreement must be at the ministerial level, led by the Minister of Justice. So the discussion on that matter comes to to that level of dealing with this law that says 5 departments must agree on it. So that's an issue on that situation.
Okay. So the question
Honorable
wasn't...
Nomvalo, just a moment, Honorable Matthys.
Yeah. No, thank you, Chair. I'm sorry for coming after the fact. My hand has been up, unfortunately. You were not seeing it. The General has said that part of a responsibility of the PKTT was to prevent these political killings. Now, in a historical context, General, in KZN in particular, the political killings were happening between the ANC comrades and IFP comrades. Now, is that still the case? Is it not now happening, or was it not happening during that period of the PKTT because of internal dynamics of one party, wherein you find councillors or possible potential councillors fighting for being councillors? Was it that not the situation? And if it was, what preventative measure you can put in place as a PKTT? Let's say you advise the PKTT to say, this is a problem. This is the root cause of this problem. Dynamics, party dynamics are contributing to this gouge, and to prevent it, these are the measures that you can put in place. I'm not sure if my question was clear.
I will allow him to answer the first part, and the second part he can only answer if he has recommendations, so that we don't spend, we don't become prejudicial to the member. Her time is running out at 23 minutes past 10. 23 minutes past 10, your time is running out.
So I'm answering that one.
Answer the first part of the question.
Indeed, it was so initial, Honorable Member, but it has evolved now. There are many political parties now that are there. You remember, for instance, I'm sure you'll be lucky enough to see the list of the people that have died as councillors. Almost all organizations are there. Some, it will be inter, that they are killed by this organization, killed by this organization, but also there'll be intra. But the question you ask, what happened then? There were many meetings and committees that were put between IFP and the ANC then to try to resolve this matter. But it has expanded now, went beyond these two organizations. But one other major things that has come in, the criminality has taken over, as you could find that there are hitmen now that are hired rather than political activists killing one another. So it does need both political intervention, but it also needs a lot of the security apparatus working on the matter. It's both.
Honorable Matthys, may you finish?
Yeah,
the
I'm
the
wrapping up.
remaining-
Well, I'll try
I
to...
pray that you finish uninterrupted.
We hope the ANC and MK doesn't interrupt. Okay, Minister, so you do understand that in this space that we're in, you don't need to have a signature on documents, and you not necessarily have to respond to this, to be involved or give direction or give guidance on the process of tenders. So I don't necessarily think when I read through the protected disclosure, it didn't make reference to that you signed. You were just implicated that you were involved in the process, and also you were also involved in the process of, this is what he said, the tender that was awarded to MTN, and also the tender to get the Airbus helicopters for SAPS, and that was for more than 400 million. So you say no? You were not.
but-
Let's leave the signature out because he's not saying that you signed off on it, but he accused you of being involved in it. So you're saying that you were not at all. You didn't know. You did not give guidance. You didn't call meetings or anything.
Can I answer now?
Yes, please.
But he also says that I wanted to kill her.
Who?
That disclosure.
Okay.
She says that person who
But
wrote
that's
the-
deflecting now, Minister.
No.
Let's speak to this. Is it true or not?
But I'm saying she also claims then disclosure to the president, I want to kill her.
Okay.
And she's not dead.
But it doesn't mean that. Oh, so you're saying that if you say you're going to
If I
kill
wanted to
someone, you
kill
will
her, if
kill
I
them.
wanted to kill her, she would be dead.
Oh, right
Yeah.
here in the house.
So she's not dead. So
That's a very
Honorable-
powerful statement.
indeed, because that's what she says there is a part of the lies that are there.
So-
Honorable
so you're
member,
just saying you weren't.
is absolutely no such.
Okay. Let's talk about Mkhwanazi because you said you like to get freebies from him because you're on pension. You're on pension now. You don't think that he has any expectations from you at all that he's engaging.
I didn't say I want to get freebies. I didn't say that.
You
I
said you liked
I said I was
freebies.
given freebies.
Oh, you
Yeah.
said you liked it too because you're a pensioner.
No,
Or I
you
misunderstood.
say I said I want to. I didn't say I want. I was given the freebies.
okay.
No, I understand that, and even maybe the term free breeze is overarching, but I don't think that it did hit my mind, and it was never said that there was an expectation from his side.
So you don't think he has? I missed that part. That he had any
It has never
expectation.
been said, and I've never thought so.
Okay. And you didn't consider that he has any expectations?
No.
He's just been nice to you. So when he comes here, because he's definitely coming here to the ad hoc committee, how would you respond if he tells us that he traveled by road to bring cash to you because he couldn't fly with the large amount of cash that he was bringing to you?
I would say never. I never received any cash from him.
Okay. About LL, Louis Lechenberg, you said he's the kingpin of Zamas. How long have you known this?
I've known the name for some time, but I've met him twice. I met him in one of the top curry restaurant in Pretoria, where I was having a dinner with my beautiful wife. At least that's one common thing we have with Julius.
Minister, you can see my chair is going to cut me on time, so you can keep your wild stories
He
and
came
dinner.
to me there, and secondly, when I was receiving the complaints from the farmers in Pretoria, I was surprised really to see him handing over what you call this thing you hand over if you complain, the petition. I was really surprised to see him handing over the petition on behalf of the farmers in Pretoria. That's the only times that face to face I've seen the man.
Okay, so I wasn't asking whether you've met him. I'm saying how long have you known that he's the kingpin? So was it during your term when you were the National Commissioner?
It's a long time, and by the way, is one of the projects investigating him that has taken quite some time because he has been investigated by Hawks.
Oh, because that was my next question, is that when you were the National Commissioner, why wasn't he arrested and charged if you knew that he was the kingpin
No,
of
I know him
Zamas?
as a minister, not as a national commissioner.
Okay. And then just the last thing is on IDEC. This feels like it's a turf war. It's pretty much similar to what we had when we had, not the Hawks, what was it? Scorpions. Because you said that they do not answer to anybody, that they just do their own thing. But that's not true because IDEC falls under the Minister of Justice, and they report
No.
So there is exercise, because the Constitution says that a cabinet member responsible for the administration of justice must exercise final responsibility over the prosecuting authority. So
No,
where
no.
do you see the gap? Are you saying that?
I see the gap on the police. They have a minister, but they have a watchdog, IPIT. Hawks have a minister, but they have a watchdog, the judge. Senior counsel and they have a minister of justice, but they have bodies that they look at. So I'm talking about the monitoring body, not the executing authority. I'm still asking, when there is a problem about the police, people, they knock at the door of the IPIT. They don't knock at the minister. When they have a problem with the Hawks, they knock at the door of the judge. Where do they knock when they have a problem with ITEC?
Noted. Thank you, former minister.
Thank you so much, Honorable Matthews. Honorable Sols,
Thank you.
your time ends at 23 minutes past 11.